In the quiet corridors of destiny, where light meets shadow, there exists a man who walks between two worlds, one of duty and one of desire. Sheikh Hamdan, the beloved Fazza, wears both a crown and a heart that often pulse to different rhythms. His life, seen by millions, appears effortless, a perfect balance of grace, strength, and leadership. Yet behind the golden frame of his public image lies a battlefield unseen by most, the eternal struggle between the prince he must be and the poet he truly is. Every dawn brings with it two calls, one from the kingdom, demanding leadership, and one from the soul, whispering of love, solitude, and truth. Between these voices, Fazza stands still, his silence more profound than any speech. To rule requires restraint, to write requires surrender. How does one reconcile a crown of power with a heart of poetry? This question haunts the depths of his being, echoing in the spaces between his duties and dreams. He was born into responsibility, molded by legacy, yet somewhere along the way, destiny shaped him into something rarer. A man who feels deeply in a world that expects him to stand above feeling. His duty teaches him to command, but his desire reminds him to listen. He leads not only with authority but with empathy, balancing logic with longing, carrying both the pride of a falcon and the tenderness of a poet. It is this duality that makes him human, even within his majesty. Sometimes the weight of expectation feels heavier than the crown itself. Every decision he makes ripples through generations, every step watched, every silence interpreted. Yet in the stillness of the desert night, Fazza becomes simply a man again, barefoot in thought, lost in verses, chasing emotions too wild to tame. It is in those moments that the poet within him breathes, daring to dream of a life unchained by titles or traditions, a life guided by passion rather than protocol. Duty binds him to serve, but desire urges him to feel. He rides his horse across the dunes not just as a prince surveying his land, but as a soul seeking refuge from the noise of the world. The desert understands him. The wind, like a confidant, carries his unspoken battles, the ache of wanting freedom while knowing he belongs to his people. Between these two truths, he walks a razor's edge of balance, never faltering, always graceful, yet endlessly torn. His poetry becomes his safe haven, the only realm where duty cannot follow. Through his verses, he confesses what cannot be spoken aloud. The ink becomes his voice, the page his confession, and the moon his listener. Each line is a reflection of the struggle he endures, not a war of swords, but of spirit. He writes not to escape his destiny, but to understand it, to make peace with the chaos inside his heart. There are days when love feels like rebellion. In a world governed by order, emotion can be both blessing and curse. Fazza has known love in many forms, love for his land, his people, his horses, and perhaps, for someone who taught him what it means to ache beautifully. Yet love demands vulnerability, and vulnerability is a risk that duty cannot always allow. So, he hides his tenderness within his poetry, letting the world read his soul without realizing it. Each time he mounts his horse beneath the starlit sky, he is both ruler and wanderer, a man loyal to his crown yet yearning for the simplicity of solitude. The night becomes his mirror, revealing the truths that daylight cannot touch. He does not run from his responsibilities, he rides through them, finding grace in the struggle. Between duty and desire, he discovers purpose, not in choosing one over the other, but in embracing both as parts of his destiny. The battle within him is not one of weakness, but of depth. To feel this deeply and still lead with clarity is an act of immense strength. Fazza has mastered the art of carrying contradictions, fierce yet gentle, powerful yet humble, visible yet mysterious. His silence is not emptiness, it is the language of a man who has learned that Duty demands that he be unshakable, but desire reminds him that even kings bleed inside. His emotional honesty becomes his strength, not his weakness. Through every challenge, he learns that balance is not perfection, it is endurance. It is the ability to walk through storms with grace, to love without losing oneself, to lead without forgetting to feel. Sometimes he wonders if the stars above envy or comfort him. For they, too, are trapped, bound to their courses, burning silently for eternity. The moon seems to understand his heart best, reflecting his turmoil with quiet compassion. Beneath its silver glow, Fazza lets his heart speak freely, unguarded by titles, unburdened by expectation. There, in the company of night, the prince disappears, and the poet is reborn. There are nights when the weight of silence feels heavier than any crown. Fazza stands alone beneath the endless expanse of stars, his thoughts waging quiet wars within him. The stillness of the desert becomes both comfort and challenge, a mirror that shows him not what he possesses, but what he sacrifices. In those moments, he is not the ruler of a nation but a wanderer of emotion, a man tracing the delicate border between what he must do and what his soul aches to feel. Every responsibility he carries has a heartbeat. His devotion to his people, his family, and his land burns like a sacred flame. Yet within that fire lives a longing, a yearning for the simplicity of being unseen, of living freely, unburdened by watchful eyes and whispered expectations. He knows he cannot abandon his destiny, but sometimes, beneath the quiet shimmer of the moon, he wonders what it would mean to follow only his heart's compass, not the world's demands. His desire is not rebellion, it is humanity. It is the part of him that refuses to let the poet die beneath the prince. Fazza understands that to lead without emotion is to build a kingdom without soul. So he lets his heart bleed into his words, his silence, his presence. He knows that true greatness is not in denying desire but in mastering it, letting it guide him like a hidden river beneath the sands, unseen yet eternal. The moon has become his most loyal witness, the keeper of his secrets. It watches him when the world sleeps, glowing softly upon his reflection as if to remind him that even light can exist peacefully beside shadow. Through that silent communion, Fazza learns balance. That desire need not destroy duty, it can deepen it. When guided by love, even responsibility becomes poetry.